Alright, so I'm in my kitchen making some boiled eggs, and I thought I'd just address and just talk about something really quick. Um, so, exercise is just a means to an end. Training, performance training, is just a means to an end. So, let's take something like running. So, depending on how you use running, you can tweak how, what kind of end you come to. So if you run really, really fast and you practice running really, really fast, aka sprinting, you're going to get faster. If you run really slow and long distance, you're going to gain more endurance. But running is not what, like, the magic secret to all those things. Running is just a tool. So you can increase your endurance other ways rather than running. However, it is very important that you are you try to be as specific as possible to reach that end goal with the means that you're using. Okay, so let's talk about something a little bit more in line with training and performance training. So, to me, you have three different elements. We're going to talk about three different elements that I see that people train. Okay, so the first thing that you want to train is you want to train technique. So technique always comes first, no matter with what you're doing. So if you're going to work on sprinting, or if you want to get faster, you have to be specific as possible sometimes, depending on the person that you're working with. And you have to work on the technique for sprinting. Okay, you have to be specific with that. You want to jump higher, you got to work on the technique for jumping higher. You got to get that down to the science. But once you have that down, there's two other things, and the first one is the muscular side of things. Okay, the second one is the neurological side, the neurological stimulus. You have a muscular stimulus and a neurological stimulus. Let's take an exercise or a tool, quote unquote, like the power clean. Okay. The intent behind the power clean can often be mistaken and incorrectly interpreted. Okay? So you need all three. You need technique, you need a muscular stimulus, and you need a neurological stimulus whenever you get to the gym. If you forsake one of those, then you're probably going to be lacking somewhere. At the same time, if you mistaken one for the other, then you might not have the outcome that you're intending. So, for instance, let me go back to the power clean. So let's say that, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Have you ever seen someone do an exercise and you're like, they're doing it right, their technique is on point, but they're not doing it how they should be doing it. Like, it looks right, everything looks good, but they're not getting the actual benefit out of it. You know, for instance, I don't know what a good example would be. Like, maybe like if someone's doing a plank or something, and you can tell that they're doing the plank, but they're not like keeping everything tight. So that to me is, it's very important when you take an exercise to have the proper intent behind that exercise. So anyway, back to the power clean. Many times when we see a power clean, we will interpret the outcome behind that. Will give credit to the muscular side of things. Okay, so someone who does a power clean, the thinking behind that would be, oh, that'll get your legs stronger, that'll get your hips more explosive, that's going to produce more power because you're going to get stronger in your hip hinge motion, or in your triple extension. It's really going to help. And so it's more the credit is given to the muscular aspect. Now, to me, I see something like a power clean, if you have the proper technique, as the neurological stimulus, not the muscular stimulus. So, again, to put this in a different term, or to raise another question, does an athlete's power clean, or does an athlete's vertical jump increase because he increases his power clean? If you look at it in a muscular intent way, you would say yes. Like if you get better at your power clean, you're going to increase your legs and your hip drive and your triple extension. That should theoretically increase your vertical jump. I think that is true for a certain amount of people, and it can be true, but I think that's improper to simply just come to that conclusion. So when you look at something like the power clean, the question would be, okay, does the power clean increase your vertical jump? Or let's say something else, like let's say that you are just jumping a lot, or you take a professional elite athlete, these guys that can jump out of the gym. Those guys have really good power clean numbers, or those guys have really good in weight room numbers, squat numbers, things like that. So in reality, the thought process is, yes, maybe the power clean, the tool that's used, the outcome is muscular in nature, to where if you increase your power clean, it's going to increase your vertical jump. Or the other thought process is the neurological stimulus thought process. So does jumping more and increasing your neurological drive increase your power clean? So again, to really put it into simple terms, I can start boiling. Does your power clean increase your vertical jump? Or does increasing your vertical jump and the neurological drive increase your power clean? Now then, if that's true, if the neurological side of things is true, that raises even more questions like, well then, are there other stimuluses that we can use to increase the neurological drive other than just a power clean? What if a banded kettlebell swing has the same, muscular intent behind it, where you're, really focusing on the power in the hips, or maybe even like a barbell hip thrust, where it really zeroes in that muscular side of things, but you also have that neurological drive behind that. So it varies from person to person, and cueing is very important in this too, because if you have someone, just doing a banded kettlebell swing, a power clean, or hip thrust, they're really lackadaisical in it, they're kind of just like this, they're not getting any benefit out of that exercise besides maybe some muscular intent or stimulus behind that. But if you tell that person, I want you just to, give it all you got and just focus on exploding, like honestly, it doesn't really matter. I don't say it doesn't really matter what tool you use, but you can use a variety of different tools to get that outcome. So again, the tool is not the main predictor of the outcome. The intent behind that tool is, to me, is very important. Now, at the same time, you also have to, again, make sure that the body is prepared for the things that you're teaching the mind or neurologically stimulating the mind for. So if you're someone that is, freak athlete that has a 40-inch vertical, to me that's going to transfer over. They're probably going to have good power clean. They're probably going to have a pretty solid squat if they have good technique. But if they don't have the muscular side to back up their neurological drive, again, that's going to lead to problems. So you have people talking about this, you really need to be just sport-specific, train sport-specific in your movement. You don't need to be in the weight room, just be sport-specific. Or you have people that are just like, okay, all you need is some kind of neurological drive, just focus on power, focus on speed and intent. Or you have people that are just like, oh, you just got to focus on the muscular side of things, all you got to do is squat. If you squat more, you're going to jump higher. If you deadlift more, you're going to jump higher. So all those things are very crucial, but to me, there has to be a very intentful balance between those stimuli, I don't know. But yeah, those are just a few thoughts. I don't know, a good summary would just be, be very intentional in the intent behind the tools that you give an athlete. Also, be very mindful of how the athlete is using whatever tool you're giving him. Okay, so that's why you have someone who says, "Oh yeah, power clean worked really well for me and increased my vertical jump," and then you have this other guy over here that's like, "Dude, power clean didn't do anything." So again, it's very individual. You have to zone in on that moment, what the athlete's using those for, and yeah, that's kind of all I got to say about that. But intent is key. So that's it. That's all I got. And I don't know. I gotta go get my eggs.